We're just 8 days away from Halloween, and Xfinity has everything you need to celebrate the ghouls and goblins of All Hallows Eve. And here to tell us more about it is our very own Xfinity TV editor, Sammy. Sammy, take it away.
Yes, the person who hates scary things the most is going to take you through a Halloween experience. Xfinity has you covered with everything that you could need to celebrate in our on-demand destination, curated specially with a not-so-scary to extra-scary range of movies, TV, music, and specials for adults and kids. Starting off with spine-tingling shows on your services, a monster mash of movies, and hair-raising horror airing on TV at any given time, and explore special destinations by multicultural genres like LGBTQ+, Latino, Black experience, Asian American, and international. And if you want to celebrate Halloween, check out our Screaming Calendar and Advent-style calendar collection with free movies or TV show every single day in October, including Alfred Hitchcock Hour, the entire Saw franchise, Malignant, and The Nun. There's a lot of great stuff in here, no matter what your preferred level of scariness is. And so with that, I will bring us back all together to talk ranging in scary things.
Well, Sammy, as you said, when it comes to Halloween and scary movies, some people like terrifying tricks, while others like yourself prefer the sweet treats. So today we decided to take a look at a scary scale of Halloween movies to appease every member of your household. Sammy, we will start with you and your picks for anyone who prefers a lightly spooky season.
Yes, that is me in the scary light category. My first pick is the 1993 Tim Burton classic, The Nightmare Before Christmas. I know that Christmas is literally in the title, but this is a Halloween movie through and through, and I will die on that hill. If anyone says this is a Christmas movie, you're wrong. If somehow you're unfamiliar with the plot, it follows Jack Skellington, who is the Halloween town's pumpkin king and discovers the magic of Christmas and attempts to rally his spooky friends and turn their Halloween world into Christmas Town while kidnapping Santa Claus, because you can't have Christmas without Santa Claus. It's also a musical, which I think is what really puts it in this scary light category, because everyone knows that musicals are not scary. If you're breaking up a scene into song, it can't be scary. This definitely was on my list of scary movies as a child. I think the puppeteering was a little creepy to me. Some of the characters definitely scared me. But as an adult, I've really come around to it. I have to watch it every Halloween time. Sally is one of my favorite characters of all time, who plays kind of like the love interest, but she's all stitched together, and I just love her as a character. I don't know. Do either of you love this movie? Am I alone on this hill?
I'm obsessed with The Nightmare Before Christmas. Okay. Absolutely love it.
I can admit that I've never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas. I really think you nailed it, though, Sammy. As a kid, like, claymation really kind of freaked me out. I watched Coraline. I had to read the book Coraline, and I watched the movie. I didn't like Chicken Run. Any of those movies that were claymation really freaked me out. So I kind of stayed away from this. But now you're right. I think it's time, because I know I'm gonna love it. So
yeah, I recommend revisiting as an adult. Yeah,
I could talk about this forever, from the voice acting. Of course, Catherine O'Hara is the voice of Sally, and Chris Sarandon's the voice of Jack, but the singing voice is Danny Elfman, who of course composed like all of the music for Tim Burton movies, did the Simpsons theme song by Danny Elfman, and of course Danny Elfman was the like lead singer of the band Oingo Boingo, and it's like kind of crazy that he is also the singing voice of Jack Skellington. I just had no idea. So I could go on and on about this. I love it so much. It is absolutely a Halloween movie. If you watch this during Christmas, you would be like, this doesn't feel right, but it feels right for Halloween.
Yes, agree. Okay, my second pick is the 1974 Mel Brooks comedy Young Frankenstein, starring Gene Wilder. It follows the grandson of the original Dr. Frankenstein, Frederick, who is
Friedrich.
Friedrich, thanks. Hold on, I'm getting there. Who in his career as a scientist has tried to distance himself from his family legacy, going so far as to change the pronunciation of his name to Frankenstein. He learns he has inherited the family estate in Transylvania, and upon finding his grandfather's old library in the home, picks up his work to reanimate the dead. It's entirely in black and white and really plays on a lot of those classic horror movie tropes, but in a comical and satirical way that only Mel Brooks could do. Some of my favorite movie jokes come from this movie. It was a real big classic in my family growing up. I'm just going to name a few, whether you know them or not. Igor picking up the brain and thinking that it's abnormal when it says abnormal is just it's too good. This is also the movie where I learned Putting on the Ritz, which is a true if you know, you know, and is probably one of the greatest scenes of movie ever. It's just a true comedy. There's no blood or gore or really intense suspense, which is why I'm putting it in my scary light category. It's just pure comedy and good times, but in black and white and Halloween and about Frankenstein.
For a large portion of my life, like well into adulthood, I thought, like early adulthood, I thought Young Frankenstein was an actual 1950s, 60s spin-off of Frankenstein. I had no idea it was a more modern movie, that it was a comedy, that it was a satire. Then I finally thought, I was probably like, I was probably like 18, 19, 20, which I think is still too long to have thought that was old movie. But then I finally watched it, and it's one of my favorites. I got to see the Broadway musical that was short-lived, and it was just incredible. Yeah, you're right. There's like, there are no misses in terms of jokes in this one. It's all hits, and it's still funny every single time you see it.
So I haven't seen this one either. Sorry, Sammy. Is this like similar to Beetlejuice in that like it's rated PG, but like the jokes are geared towards adults? Because I actually watched Beetlejuice for the first time, again, I know it's so bad, last year, and I was like, oh, this will be like a family-friendly movie. It's rated PG, and it was like one of the more inappropriate movies I'd ever seen. So I'm wondering if this is the same sort of situation.
A little bit, yeah. I definitely watched this as a kid with my family, and through aging, have every year there's more jokes that I understand that totally went over my head as a kid. Not in a way that it was inappropriate, but just I just didn't get the jokes yet. But as an adult, they all, like David said, there's really no misses.
It's a lot like most of the Mel Brooks movies. Like, did you see Spaceballs, Sammy?
Yes, of course.
Or not? Sorry, I meant to ask Maddie, but
it's fine. It doesn't matter.
No. Okay.
Stop exposing me as the movie editor for all these movies I haven't seen. Jeez.
That's okay. Every single movie that you both are about to start talking about, I will not know. So this is my time to shine.
Ooh, great transition. Let's go. I will give you a couple recommendations for anyone who enjoys moderate thrills that won't necessarily keep you up at night. My first pick is the 2011 Michael Shannon and Jessica Chastain psychological thriller, Take Shelter. No, this isn't exactly a horror movie, which is why it's in the medium scary category, but it is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I just needed a reason to talk about it, basically. In this movie, Shannon's character is plagued by a series of apocalyptic visions and begins to build a massive storm shelter in his backyard in preparation for doomsday. His increasingly erratic behavior alienates everyone around him, including his wife and daughter. But are these visions of fire and brimstone and menacing birds real, or is he suffering some sort of mental breakdown? Take Shelter earned a 92% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes and is available to watch now on Max. I love this movie.
I've seen this movie, I think, because it popped up on a list of mine of like things I wanted to check out. I love a kind of psychological thriller movie that has a horror angle, and I think I probably saw your like Letterboxd review, and it probably gave it like 4 or 5 stars or something like that. So I watched this. This is I probably checked it out about a year ago, so the thought, like looking at the key art, that it was going to be like the birds type situation. Is there like a bird strike?
There is a bird. He is having visions of birds, and that's part of what he thinks is coming, even though we don't really know what's coming. So there are birds involved.
Right. I remember really liking this film though, so totally.
And Michael Shannon is amazing in it. He has one scene where he is confronted by the townsfolk, and he does his Michael Shannon thing where, like, you don't know what's coming. Like, my terrible Michael Shannon, but
well done.
But it's so good, and I think if M. Night Shyamalan kept making good movies, this was the kind of movie that he would eventually make.
Gosh, shot on goal for M. Night. Jeez,
it's true. Sam, you haven't seen this?
I am embarrassed to say I've never even heard of this movie, but I'm intrigued. I do like a good, like, kind of psychological angle to it. I'm more inclined to watch like a mildly creepy movie if that's the case versus it being like bloody and gory. So you've intrigued me.
That's this. Not bloody, not gory, just very psychologically thrilling. Speaking of which, my second pick is I really hope, Maddie, that you've seen this, is the 2021 Icelandic folk horror movie Lamb, which stars girl with the dragon tattoo actor Nomi Rapace as one half of a couple who adopts a half-human, half-lamb creature as their own child. The movie follows the couple as they attempt to secretly raise this unusual bundle of joy on their rural farm, while also deflecting or eliminating any obstacles that stand in their way. I can't tell you any more about this movie without spoiling important plot points, but I will say that this is a movie that sticks with you for better or worse. It's not exactly terrifying, like a can't sleep at night horror movie, but this movie can be visually unsettling, which is why I've allotted it in the medium scary category. Lamb earned an 86% fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes and was selected as the Icelandic entry for Best International Film at the 2022 Oscars, and you can now watch it on Showtime or Paramount Plus. Have either of you seen this one?
Why did I think that this was an A24 title?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's what I know about it. And that I haven't seen it because I have a hard time with animal related things. And so that was my biggest drawback here.
Well, that's funny because Sammy, in contrast, unfortunately, I've not seen this film either, which is really bad on me because I see most of the A24 films. But I swear there was like a collection of movies that came out within like the same 3 months, and it was Lamb, First Cow from A24, and Pig.
And Pig, yep.
Right, with Nicolas Cage, right? And I was like, I guess I got to leave one of these out. And Lamb was the one I missed. I watched First Cow and Pig, which I liked both quite a bit. And I just missed this one. I need to catch up on this now that I can just watch it on Paramount Plus. So I will definitely be doing that because I'm intrigued. I've seen like stills from this movie, and they're interesting, to say the least, of the Lamb thing.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, did I love this movie? No. You definitely made First Cow and Pig were definitely better. But like cinematography is great. Obviously A24. It's such an A24 movie. Nomi Rapace. I looked up her name. That is the way you pronounce it. I've been calling her Nomi Rapace for so long, and it's Nomi Rapace. I've just been sounding like an idiot. But she's excellent in it. But it does, like, look at this close-up of this lamb eye. It's like that's the movie. Uncomfortable close-ups of lamb eyes. So that's your medium scary right there. Maddie, if someone wants to pump a little nightmare fuel into their veins, what would you recommend?
Thank you, David. So I was tasked with scary because I'm a true lover of all things horror. So I picked out a TV show and a movie to cover my bases a little bit. Look at the movie editor picking a TV show. Good on me. So I've selected the movie Host, not to be confused with The Host. This is just Host, and the TV show Midnight Mass. So remember, these are not for the faint of heart. Let me start with Host because I'm very excited to talk about this. I watched this for the first time a couple weeks ago. This movie was recommended to me. That's not true. I just saw a bunch of movie influencers talking about it. They did not personally recommend it to me. But I watched it with a friend for the first time a few weeks ago, and I was shaken to my core. I'm not kidding. Movies don't make me feel this way very often. Me and my friend were both like scared to go to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and she left the room to go walk the dog, and I was freaking out because I was alone. It's very terrifying. This movie is 60 minutes long on the dot. It's 1 hour. The premise is it's a group of friends who get together on a Zoom call during COVID and invite a medium to perform a seance. And obviously, they conjure an unwanted guest in their video call. It takes place entirely within the Zoom interface. And that's all I'm going to say about this plot. This is not my original thought, but I've seen people comment on this movie that like Unfriended walked so host could run. And I feel like that's totally true because this movie earns its scares, which are terrifying. We've all worked from home in some capacity, and it really captures, like right now, there's a fly on my screen, and that's real stuff. But it captures all the quirky details about talking on a video call and it lagging, virtual backgrounds and echoing. And they use those elements in like this terrifying way. They also produced this movie completely virtually. So the cast had to rig all of their own stunts and basically direct their own scenes. So it's super impressive. So please, if you're down to get really scared, take literally 1 hour of your night to check out Hosts on AMC+. It's a must watch if you're a big horror fan.
Wow, so this movie was produced essentially the same way we do What to Watch Live.
Correct. So if weird stuff starts happening, I am out because if we watch that movie, some really horrible stuff goes down, and I'm not going to let that happen to any of us three. I promise.
You sold me at 60 minutes. Honestly, I'm in.
I don't want to spoil any of the thrill of it, but it's 60 minutes for a reason, right? Because you know how when you're on Zoom and it's like there's 5 minutes left in the meeting, you only get that certain amount of time for a video call. So it all is captured in that exact time period, and it's highly, highly unsettling. So please check it out.
They didn't upgrade to premium Zoom for longer calls? Come on.
It's a good thing they didn't, because I imagine it would be a lot scarier post the hour. But secondly, I want to talk about Midnight Mass. I think this falls into scary because while it's not terrifying all the time, there are some seriously horrifying moments in the show, which I didn't expect going into it. This show centers around a young man returning to his isolated hometown on Crockett Island, hoping to rebuild his life after serving 4 years in prison for killing someone in a drunk driving incident. He arrives at the same time as a mysterious, charismatic young priest who begins to revitalize the town's flagging faith. What I love about this show is that you don't really know what it's about, I think, until about the 3rd episode. There's this big reveal, and it is spectacular. If you know me and you've seen this show, when they tell you what's going on, I lost my mind. It was so good. But for some reason, gothic and religious horror is such a draw to me if it's done right, and this is definitely one of those cases. This is an easy watch. It's available on Netflix. I highly recommend both this movie and TV show if you're a complete freak like me who enjoys scaring the living daylights out of yourselves. But did either of you watch Midnight Mass? Have we talked about this?
I have to say how proud of myself I am to have watched this.
Yes,
putting it in a very scary category. I never thought I would get here. I was definitely terrified watching this show, but the plot of it was so interesting that it like kept me going. I just wanted to know where it was going and more about these characters, and the religious aspect of it was really cool. And I liked that it was a TV show. For some reason, I have such an easier time sitting down to watch 8 episodes than I do a 60-minute movie. But yeah, I will say I definitely ended this feeling very unsettled and uncomfortable.
Do you know why I love it though? Like that reveal. Do you remember like what the bad guy is basically the whole time?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, people watching this don't understand what I like, but it's very good, and everyone should check it out.
I haven't seen this, but this is from director Mike Flanagan, who also did The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, and he's doing The Fall of the House of Usher, all on Netflix. Like, this guy has got horror down. I interviewed him in 2011 for like his first feature film, Absentia, which was, sorry, Mike, it was absolutely terrible. And it was not great. But to see how far he's come and how he has okay, I say that it was low budget, like the acting wasn't great, but you saw like that he had the chops for filming horror and for telling that story, even though I didn't love the ultimate end product. But you see how far he's come, and he's like mastered horror in the TV series format now.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's bad on me because I haven't seen his other 2 shows. I think that I was a little, I can't believe I shouldn't say this as the scary person, but I was a little freaked out to watch those on my own. And that's why I watched Midnight Mass, because I didn't realize it was going to be as scary as it was. But you're right. I think he's kind of dominated this high quality horror TV streaming series layout that he's doing. And that's great. Apparently, he didn't start out so great, so good for him now.
In my opinion, for whatever that's worth. But it's become like now like a Halloween tradition for him to put out one of these series, and they've all been really well received. So great way to get some scary in your life for Halloween. Thanks for that, Maddie. Check out all the movies we talked about today and all the TV shows and so much more simply by saying Halloween or what to watch into your voice remote. You'll find everything on that Halloween destination Sammy talked about.